Hello, welcome to Viewpoints. I'm here today with Lieutenant Commander Chris Kluckhuhn from the U.S. Coast Guard. Welcome, Chris.
Hi, Richard. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. Today we're here to talk about Chris's role as an organizational consultant for the U.S. Coast Guard. Chris, could you tell us a little bit about your role in the Coast Guard?
Sure. I'm an organizational performance consultant responsible for process improvement, quality systems, and innovation in general. So that is a very wide expanse of responsibility. So it's really where we see the most need. There's 24 of us in the Coast Guard.
Can you tell us a little about one of your projects? I know you've been instrumental in getting a lot of technologies through many stages, but mostly the newer innovative stuff out to the field very quickly.
Sure. I'm a product of a lot of different things under one office at Coast Guard headquarters. They managed a national graduate school program, which I started a project, graduated from. That project involved a product called FalconView and Missile Light, and that same organization manages my current billet as an organizational performance consultant. So when I was due to rotate, they moved me into this job. They gave me blanket orders. Basically, I can go anywhere to work on this project, drive process improvements. I took that grad school project, got innovation funding for it, and steered it through all the processes that were required to make it an enterprise application. It's now called Coast Guard Mission Planning and Execution System.
You know, as part of that process, I remember you telling me a little bit about cursor on target. Could you explore that a little bit here? Or?
Sure. Early on in 2005, we used the system to help with some of the Katrina relief operations. We recognized that we needed to be interoperable. So we started asking questions, and I found out that the Air Force had developed a XML schema that provided interoperability between 100 different systems that were used in the military and with civilian systems, called Cursor on Target. They looked at all the different systems, and they said 80% of these systems deal with the same things: what, where, and when type of information. And they wrote XML to cover those three basic things. It was already a plug-in to FalconView that we could use. It provided interoperability between our own internal Coast Guard systems as well as other systems like Google Earth or cell phones, pretty much anything that can speak XML.
What are some of the implications of this? I mean, how widespread has it become?
Within DoD, that's used operationally within Afghanistan and Iraq, there's over 100. They stopped counting after 100 systems were operational with it, but it's widespread. And we have been working with FEMA and others to make it part of the emergency data exchange language. So once it's part of that schema set, then it will be available to anybody in Homeland Security.
Sure. Maybe you can just say a little bit about this idea of a schema for those that are not familiar with schemas and all these ideas of XML and so forth.
Sure. I can write XML, but I have to do it in a certain format that other systems can understand. Okay, at this line I'm looking for this information. And as long as you write it in a standard schema, publish that schema, other people can say into their system, all right, when you see this line, this is the information that you should expect, and this is how you should plan to display it.
How much time does it take somebody to implement one of these schemas using all this XML technology?
Generally, the systems can be adapted to accept cursor on target feeds within a day. I think the record was a couple hours. One programmer got a system operational with cursor on target.
Okay. So I take a day out of my schedule and I acquire the schema, and then what do I have all of a sudden I didn't have before?
You have the ability to share what, where, when information with hundreds of other systems, and you have the ability to get other people to apply the same schemas within their system. So you have interaction with all the current cursor on target systems and the ability to easily get anybody else using their system to add it to theirs.
So this would enhance situational awareness, enhance common operating pictures.
Yes, it's a low-cost already operational system used by the Air Force and our Special Ops Command.
Wow. You know, we hear a lot about systems that are prototyped or built in the lab and they're done on a small scale, but you've been able to go up from that stage to the enterprise level, and you've done it not just with Cursor on Target and but many other projects. Maybe you can share some of your insights or in this area.
When I started, I thought if you got to the senior leadership and you showed them a good idea and they bought off on it, that was all that was needed. So early on, I was able to fly the Commandant of the Coast Guard around, show him the system. He said, "This is exactly in line with my vision of Coast Guard." He put it in a State of the Coast Guard address. I thought we were done. That was back in 2003. We're just implementing some of those things that he saw back then in 2008. I learned that it takes the top, it takes grassroots effort to show the operational requirements, and it takes a lot of work at the middle, at the headquarters level, and all those people in between, the people out in the field and the people at the top, to do all the paperwork and the enterprise architecture that's required to make sure that it's a secure system, it's not going to infect our network, all those other things. So getting everybody to see the same vision and see that this is important and worth spending time on is what I've found to be the best avenue.
Sure. You know, I've also heard you speak about things like user acceptance. I know you've gone out in front of a lot of people and you've been showing them these technologies. Have you found that to be important?
For most of the communities I deal with, instead of talking about it, it's much more powerful to actually demonstrate the capability. Katrina, especially when we got down there really near the tail end of the airlift, we started showing some of the older pilots that we had all the hospitals embedded into a moving map system. They had phone numbers, they could have seen number of beds available, and they kind of stopped and said, that would have been useful. So we started doing some missions with it afterwards, but I saw a change in the acceptance of this new technology, this new moving map tool, once they saw that, yeah, this helps me do my mission better, and it's not, a burden to use.
Any sort of final words of wisdom you might put for those that are trying to take a new innovation and get it out to the field and then out to the enterprise? What would be your...
Intelligent persistence. That's nobody likes somebody that's always coming back and bugging them. But if you know when budget cycles occur, what the strategic plans of the organization are, and just if you know you're right and you have a good idea, just keep plugging away at it and understanding when there's certain times that are good to push your agenda.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much for coming here and doing the interview with Viewpoints.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.